At 5 years old, we aren't expecting kids to come to baseball, being able to hit the ball into the outfield. We aren't expecting every kid to win, every kid to be perfect. We are laying a foundation of we're all here, we're learning. Unfortunately, for some kids, they end up getting coaches who are all about winning and all about getting it right. And then guess what happens? They don't love the sport anymore and they stop doing it. And that's exactly what we're doing in mathematics. It becomes only about the winning, only about being perfect. Flexibility is the piece that gets everybody feeling like they can do this, that they have a part, and yet we have to balance it a little with accuracy and efficiency do matter, but if we put too much focus on that, that becomes an issue, and then kids are performing out of fear.
Hello, and welcome to another amazing episode of Math Therapy, the podcast that unpacks math trauma and helps you build a better relationship with math. I'm your host, Vanessa, and I'm here today to get you pumped up about going back to school. And yeah, I know, what a buzzkill when it's still summer and like 10,000 degrees out, but it's coming, so why not get fired up about it? A new school year brings so many possibilities, one of which is the chance to redefine our terms in the classroom so they empower us. And today's word is one of the most vulgar F words in all of math, fluency. We keep hearing that we can't teach students to be fluent in mathematics while also honoring their progress and thinking, but today's guest, Christina Tondevold, joins me to tell you that that is total BS, and yes, you can have both. Christina is a self-proclaimed recovering traditionalist who initially taught mathematics by expecting students to parrot back to her what she taught them. But she now works with teachers in developing students' mathematical understandings in a far more balanced way, developing conceptual understanding while working on procedural fluency. She does this through her site, buildmathminds.com, where you can get PD literally at your fingertips. She's a powerhouse. She is like the person I think about when someone says fluency. And that's why I decided she was the person I had to talk to about reclaiming this F-bomb. If you think that timing things in math will ruin a kid's life, and if you've ever been like, well, yes, I want my students to feel good about math and their thinking and themselves, but I also need them to be fluent in math and it feels impossible to do both, or if you've previously thought, just like me, that fluency equals speed at the expense of all else, this episode is for you. And if you're like, sorry, I don't even know what fluency means, period, why it's important, or why I should give a fuck, well, this episode is definitely for you. All right, enough from me. Here's my convo with the amazing Christina Tondevold. Christina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I am excited to be able to chat with you.
I love how the first thing on your website says that you are a recovering traditionalist. And I kind of want to just start there. I want to know a bit more about that. What does that mean?
When I started sharing things online, I decided to call my blog that, The Recovering Traditionalist, because it really is a journey. And I feel like I'm never fully done, I'm not just a thinker now. It is really hard to get out of our traditional ways of teaching mathematics, because if I'm assume that, people my age, I'm nearing midlife, that we all kind of grew up with very traditional style of teaching of here's the procedure, learn it, memorize it, follow the steps, and you'll get to the correct answer. And that was how everything was graded in math was, did you follow the steps? Did you get the right answer? And that was the way that I taught, was still very traditional. I stood up there and gave students the notes and taught them the procedure and then expected them to practice it as a whole group. And then when they got to the independent practice time, it was like hands were going up and I did not have another way to help them. I just would repeat the rules and steps because that's all I knew.
I want to make sure I'm tracking here that when you say traditionalist, you are referring to a historic way of teaching math that relies on procedure. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're relying more
absolutely.
on procedure. We're on, okay.
Yeah. And for years though, I think it's, as everything in education, the pendulum swings. And so the pendulum swinging away from the traditional style of teaching into more letting kids think and play around with mathematics, kind of went a little too far to where it was, let's just let kids play and discover. And But we have to remember it's guided instruction still. It's not just letting them play. It is letting them play and explore, but we still have to use that information to then pull them, push them along their trajectory of learning. It's not just let them play and flounder, right? We need to learn how they're thinking and then use that to guide our instruction to move them through mathematical understandings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does feel like the guided piece is what, when we hear about this in the media, gets missed. And I'm actually
Yeah.
curious, like, did we ever actually just like let kids play and flounder, or was there just like an
Right.
idea that we like, were we ever like, oh, we're actually
Were
not
we?
teaching anything? Like, just I don't know. Like, I know that there are some schools or like communities where that happens, but I feel like that was
Yes.
never like the instruction to teachers was never like let them just like vibe and like the end,
Hmm.
right? Like it was like,
Hmm.
let's figure out like how they're learning, what draws their interest, like toward what their tendencies are. And then exactly like you said, let's use that to guide how we're going to teach a certain concept. Like let's provide, right?
I could say even from like personal experience, but also stories, like my own children's experience
Okay,
in
yep.
mathematics. I have four kids ranging from 18 right now to 12. And there have been times where, I mean, they've had a whole range of types of teachers, especially around
Sure.
mathematics. But there have been a few that have taken things that they've learned and like wanting kids, what we talk about of letting kids solve the problems, not telling them how to solve it, kind of to an extreme
Okay.
of here's the problem. And then like if they are floundering and they aren't even sure where to start or anything, then the teacher's like, well, figure it out. What can you do?
Okay.
Like, a little like not just play and
Yep.
discover, but even as we're open, giving kids an open task
It's
and
too open.
yeah, too open. And we just like let them flounder a little too much sometimes.
I would love to actually talk about this because I think that this is one of the biggest issues that I'm hearing right now from educators is like they know that the move isn't to like be so prescriptive, right? They're like, okay, I get that I'm not supposed to give the kid a problem and then like a step-by-step formula on how to solve it. I understand that. But at the same token, I know I'm not supposed to just be like, okay, well, figure it out. Like, see ya. I'm going to go eat a peanut butter
Mm.
sandwich. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the move. So it's like, but I also do feel like teachers are constantly being like wrist slapped for doing too little or too much. This feels like a Goldilocks
Right.
situation, actually,
Oh,
right?
of
Like it's like
course.
too hot,
Yes.
too cold. What was it? It was too hot or too cold, the porridge, I
Yep.
think, right?
Yep.
And then there was like
Yep.
the middle. What are some tips you can give on like
Mm.
what you might ask yourself in terms of what the right balance might be? Like what is
Yeah.
that not too hot, not too cold bowl of porridge? Like what should they do?
In general, what I try to keep in mind is I don't want to start by telling. Actually, okay, so in our talk that we had a couple of days ago, we mentioned our friend Raj, right?
Oh my God,
Um,
Raj, what a vibe.
Raj is so fun. So I got to chat with Raj for a thing that we have upcoming that Vanessa is a part of. And one of the things he mentioned to me that still is on my brain is that we can always go back to direct instruction. But our default has been let me first tell you how to solve it, and then you work on parroting back and mimicking what I've just told you. And so instead, like to just get started and like give kids a problem, just give them a problem and see what they think. And you should always have in mind, though, where you're wanting to go with them. Like, what is the ultimate goal? And a lot of times we think our goals are the standards of students will be able to blah, blah, blah. It's not about what they're able to do, it's about what they understand. And so we need to keep in mind what is it that I want them to understand about this?
I love this because, like, what I'm hearing, and this makes so much sense. It's like direct instruction or just telling. Okay, let's just call it just telling because
Mm-hmm.
I hate all the jargon. Just telling
Yeah.
someone is in your back pocket that you can use anytime, right?
Yeah.
But asking somebody to notice for the first time can only happen in the beginning. You can't tell them and then ask them to notice for the first time, right? Whereas like the telling could happen at any time. So it kind of makes sense to front load your instruction with the stuff that can only happen at the beginning as like an experiment, right? Like to be like, oh, like what would you do if you saw this with no information? Because once they have the information, they can't like imagine they had no information and like, right? Like you can't like,
it's hard to unsee something.
it's hard to
and
unsee
pretend
something.
you
And you
don't
can only
know
be
it. Yeah.
right, exactly. So I kind of love that of being like, fine, like, especially for the teachers who's like, oh my God, but like, what if I have to? It's like, great, you can tell them. I almost wonder if like a nice little therapeutic way to like acclimatize yourself to the thinking model or getting farther and farther away from telling is to even set a timer and be like, I'm not going to tell them anything for 2 minutes. And then the next day be like, I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. Like I'm not allowed to tell anything for you know what I mean? Like you can build your tolerance from uncertainty this way.
Here's one thing I would recommend. If your lesson is on doubles plus one, right? And they aren't getting it in the first 10 minutes, there might be some deeper issues in play because mathematics is really a web of understanding. And we try to teach it in isolation. Like, here's your doubles plus one, here's your make tens, or with multiplication. I don't know how you learned them, but I learned them times ones and times twos and times threes, like total isolation. And now we know like, okay, well, if you know your tens, those are connected to your fives, and twos can help you with your fours and your eights. Like
we never did that, did we?
No, never. And so I could envision like, you know, I don't want people to take away that, oh, okay, today we're learning our times twos multiplication facts. And if they don't have it by the end, I'm just going to give them a bunch of flashcards to practice it. Like there are really big things in mathematics that just take time. They take time to build. And one of the things that really bugs me in our standards actually is we do a really great job with addition and subtraction facts because it starts in kinder and then every state is technically different. And in Canada, yours might look a little different as well. But typically in the United States, it's second grade that it talks about being fluent with addition and subtraction within 20, which is your quote unquote facts. So they have kindergarten, they have first, they have second grade, that they are building an understanding of what addition and subtraction are. And then by the end of second grade, they're supposed to have become fluent with it. Well, then here in the United States, then third grade comes along and all of a sudden they're supposed to master multiplication and division facts all in one grade level. Like that is an unrealistic thing. And so I'm just saying, like, sometimes our standards are great in giving us time to build these things for kids. And sometimes it's just thrown at us and we're like, I've got to get kids fluent with all of these all in 1 year. And so we get the pressure of, oh, I've just got to tell you. But there's a lot underneath that we can build that will help them be able to see a lot of connections. And the more connections we can make, the easier it is to recall info.
I'm going to be honest here. I'm listening to this and I'm stressed. Like I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh my God, there are so many variables here. Again, math pun intended, but there's so much going on, right? Like you're kind of like, like there's a lot of messages. And this is interesting. I remember talking to another educator earlier this week and she was like, you know, sometimes teachers just want like, what are the questions I should ask? What are the rules I should follow? And it's like, this is where your teacher's intuition comes in, right? Like as educators, we are healers. We have an intuition. We have experience. We know that certain students need this. We can feel the energy of a class when things are being understood and not. And I feel like we have to like pause and be like, listen, we're saying a lot of things here and none of these are prescriptive. You kind of just have to feel it out and trust that you're doing the right thing. That being said, it's kind of hard to hear, you know, then in grade 3, we have this basically like impossible standard and it's going to be really, really hard. But also you got to just like know what they need to understand about the standard. And it's not about the standard, it's about them, right? Like, it's like, oh my God. Right. And now, and like, I get that almost in a way, this is supposed to chill people out to be like, don't worry so much about the standard. Just like make sure they're understanding some stuff that's going to be important.
Mhm.
But can we take a step back and like forget the content, forget the actual things, and like what is something that a teacher, especially a beginning teacher who's hearing all this, what's something that might give them a bit of hope and relief to if they're kind of like, yeah, man, like this feels hard. It feels like some kids aren't going to be like getting all this content. It feels like I've got to do too much. Like, what is your like go-to, like, just remember this thing? Like, just what, like, do you have something?
Yep. That
Oh, okay, great.
math is not a set of isolated things. It's all connected. And so it does seem overwhelming when you open up even your standards and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get all of this in this grade, especially when I have students maybe coming with some gaps from a year or two back. And when I saw that mathematics is so connected, that opened up a whole world for me. Like, I was middle school. So at one point I was doing sixth, seventh, eighth grade. In the sixth grade textbook, there's a chapter on decimals. There's a chapter on fractions. There's a chapter on percents. Those are all the same thing.
Yeah.
Those are the same types of numbers, yet we teach them in isolation without connecting them together. Fractions are, like a part of a whole. I mean, that's a simplified version of it, right? It's a fractional part of something. Yeah. And decimals are just special fractions because they have denominators that are a power of 10. They're a tenth, hundredth, thousandth, right? And then percents are even specialer because they are out of 100. So it's a fraction, but always, percents are based out of what it is out of 100 of something. And yet those are not connected together. I didn't learn them as connected together, and I didn't teach them as connected together. And then I had this group of kids in front of me when we get done with it, and they don't see those connections. Like, once I realized how connected mathematics was, it made me really start to look at the textbook, the standards, and say, okay, hold on. So these are all listed individually, but what actually connects together? And there is a great document out there by Achieve the Core. And it talks about they're not the power standards. That's not the phrase that they use. I think they call them content emphases. But it's like, what's the major work at each grade level? And then they also talk about what ones are connected. They support that major work. And then it also shows which ones are just additional. Like, for example, kindergarten, basically everything is connected to the major work. The major work in kindergarten is getting kids to count, understand how numbers work, like the number system of how things work, and a little bit of addition and subtraction. Well, everything you're doing, if you're working on geometry stuff of recognizing shapes, and then you ask a kid, so how many circles do you have? You're really also working on counting. Like, it's all connected together.
Well, I also feel like it's like, this is like a message of hope to be like, anytime you're working on anything, you're working on something else too. Like, you're getting more bang for your buck than you think. So it's like, I really like that example of being like fractions, percentages, and decimals. You're looking at it being like, I've got 3 chapters to teach, right? When really it's like, what if we look at it as like, you have 1 chapter with some tentacles? You know what I mean? Oh, I hated that. I said that. I'm sorry. That would gross me out. But you know what I mean? Like, you have like 1 chapter with like if you teach fractions, you've taught a third of percentages. If you teach fractions and decimals, you've taught 2/3 of percentages. Once you close it off by being like percentages, now you've taught the entire thing. Oh my God, I just turned the chapters into a fraction. Did you see what I did there?
Yeah,
I think that worked.
I heard it. A third and then 2/3. And
Right. I think, as we know, time is like one of the biggest struggles for teachers. And it's always like, I'm running out of time. So if you can feel like you're doing more, like whatever work you're doing now is investing in all the future chapters. Like, if they're understanding fractions, they've already understood a third of percentages. You're getting there. Like, you're filling that. I do really like the way of looking at it. Can I switch gears for a sec?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you've said a word several times, and it is what I think of when I think of you. And it's a word I feel we throw around a lot in math ed and don't define. And that word is fluency. You've said
Mm.
fluency, kids being fluent. And I think when people hear fluency, what they think of is speed. And I know
Yeah.
that we're missing the mark on that. And I feel like you're like one of the fluency experts in my world. And I would
Thanks.
love to hear from you what fluency means.
So I will say everything I learned is from other people. Again, I once I start seeing connections, I learn something over here from somebody and something here, and I bring it together to make it make sense for me.
Yeah.
So I really love Susan Jo Russell's definition of fluency. She had a article back in 2000 called Computational Fluency. It was published by NCTM, National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and she talked about three things that make up fluency. And one is efficiency. We do need to be fast. I mean, that is part of, and I feel like fast has kind of gotten a bad rap
Yeah,
because
agree.
of all the trauma that comes with it. That the way that we have used speed and timed activities in the past has been harmful. But the need to be efficient and fast still is a part of our world. We do want to be able to get things done quickly. And this isn't just for mathematics. This version of fluency, for those that are listening, think of anything you feel like you are fluent at or trying to become fluent at.
Like
So
a
you do
language,
need to
obviously,
be
we'd think
a
of.
language. Yeah. Yeah. If you're fluent at driving your city that you live in, right? You are efficient. You know the fastest way to get somewhere.
When you say we've used speed and timed in a way that was harmful, can
Mhm.
you say a bit more? Like, how
Yeah.
have we used it?
The classic of the time tests of you have to get this many in a minute, and then you switch papers and somebody grades you, and so everybody's seeing it. And then if you don't get the 80 problems in a minute, I'm totally exaggerating, but 80 problems in a minute, you have to stay in at recess, and you don't get your name up on the wall with a star that you have achieved this thing or whatever it was. I mean, there for a while, the multiplication Sunday, I don't know who started that, but it was like everywhere that you would get a scoop for every, you learned your
Like
times
actual
ones,
ice
and you
cream?
like they would make a sundae, and then when you got your sundae complete, you could have, like, you got to join in on the ice cream sundae. Like, I
Wait,
mean, this was probably 20
what?
some years ago.
I didn't
So
have this. I
I'm
would
glad
like
you
an ice
don't
cream
know
sundae.
that. I
Okay.
know, right? But everybody who was good at it loved that. But those kids who struggled and never achieved that 80 in a minute or whatever it might have been, never got their scoop on the wall, never got to participate in the Sunday party that everybody else got to. So the timed activities, those time tests, the mad minutes, all of that was used as punitive. It was as a punishment, not as something. And we thought it
Mm.
would motivate kids. We thought if they got to see their name with a star up there, that would motivate them.
And that's the
But
thing. It's like, I mean, this is a whole other conversation of how do we define motivation? Because, like, okay, I guess it did motivate some kids, but like out of fear, right? Like,
fear.
it's like, yeah, like that's like
Yeah,
not really motivation exact. Like, it is motivation, but it's like
that's
not the
true.
kind of motivation that we like
Yeah.
want. Let's just
Hmm.
like, for argument's sake, say we are going to time you to do like 20 questions in a minute or 10 questions in a minute, whatever. There's going to be no Sunday. There's going to be no star. There's going to be no nothing, but you're still going to be timed. Would that be okay? Is it the way we treated the entire thing? Is
Yes,
it,
kind of,
yeah?
sort
Okay.
of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, the research around, so there's a What Works Clearinghouse and the Institute for Educational Sciences, IES. Um, those two groups look at all the research that's out there, because we can say, oh, well, research says this, research says that. That might be one study, right? What Works
Mm.
Clearinghouse and the IES puts together these practice guides. And back in 2009, they did the first one that I ever saw. Maybe there was one before it, but the first one I ever saw for what works with students who are struggling with mathematics. And then in 2021, they just released an updated one. I said just released. That was like 5 years ago.
I get
But
it.
not very many people know about it.
Yeah.
So this document has 6 recommendations that have strong research evidence to back them up for what works. One of them is timed activities. So
And this is
the
what works for
research
fluency.
for no, just mathematics in general.
Oh,
Mathematics in
okay.
general. So it's what works for students who are struggling with mathematics. It's actually a guide for intervention, what intervention should look like around mathematics. So there's things like vocabulary, like getting clear on vocabulary really helps kids, being precise in your language, using word problems, using lots of representations in mathematics, so models. Everybody seems to love the first 5 recommendations, and then the 6th recommendation is to use timed activities. And people are kind of a little like, I don't know about this.
I'm so into this because this is juicy because it's kind of like I don't know, I'm processing this with you right now, but it's like, you're right. We have our backs up with speed. As soon as someone says speed, I'm like as soon as a
Yep.
kid is like, I'm not fast, I'm like, oh my God, like that's not the thing. But you're kind of right. Like there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to be efficient with something, let's say, but there's so much baggage that has come with it that I now think we're almost doing an overcorrect. Like the pendulum is
Yes.
swinging where we're like, oh my God, like no, like speed doesn't matter at all. But like, doesn't make sense. What if it took an hour for someone to add 2 + 2? Like we would
Right.
like that's too long. That's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So again, it's a thing of balance, right? Like we shouldn't be only focusing on efficiency. That is only, I'm going to use a fraction again, 1/3.
Okay, tell us the other thing.
33%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Wow, you're doing the whole
33.333.
unit. Yeah, 30.3.333. Oh my God, we just did it. We just converted them all.
Yeah.
We just taught 3 chapters of math in 1 second.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Okay. So efficiency is one piece. Let me get all 3 of them out so then we can talk
Okay.
about it
Yes.
in all together. So efficiency is the speed part, and then accuracy. Correct answers do matter. And again, as the pendulum swung away from
Yes.
this,
Oh my
like they
God.
have to, it's been like, oh, it doesn't matter if they get it right or wrong.
Oh
It's
my
more about
God.
their thinking. I'm sorry, correct answers do still matter in
It
mathematics.
matters.
They need right answers. Accuracy is important. So, yeah, it is important to look at their thinking, but they also need to be told when it's wrong. Like, you
Oh
got
my
the
God,
wrong
yep.
answer. That matters. And then the third one is flexibility.
What's that?
And that's been my focus, is flexibility, because for the longest, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I started teaching, I graduated college in 2000. So I have been in the education space for a long time and focusing on building number sense and flexibility for more than 15 years of that time. And so I have pushed heavily on getting teachers to focus on flexibility.
What is
getting
it?
kids flexible.
What is that?
So I'll talk about that in a second.
Doing
but
math
the hard
when
part is
in a handstand while doing the splits.
yeah. Let's see how good your downward dog is or whatever, But the hard part is that put the focus away from the first 2 of accuracy and efficiency. So I'm going to talk about flexibility, but do not take away that is the only thing we need to build.
We're just defining
Yes.
it.
And I've had to say that now because I've put so much emphasis on flexibility and people have gone all the way to the other side. So flexibility is just having alternate routes. So let's go back to, if you feel like you're fluent driver in your city, what happens if there's an accident and that road is
God.
blocked?
Oof.
Do you
I'm
know
stuck.
another way to get there without pulling up
No.
the GPS?
Absolutely
Okay, so you're
not.
not fluent. You're not fluent
I
at
am
driving
not.
in your right.
I'm not.
If you that's essentially what our kids are. So they might have one way to do it, and that's also been an issue. Is like once all these different strategies came around, it's like, well, if kids have one way to do it, that's fine. They don't need to know other ways. well, what if that one way doesn't work on that problem?
Okay, I'm going to do a little
Mm-hmm.
recap for the listeners and for myself, quite frankly. Okay, there are three aspects to fluency. We have efficiency, which has to do with speed. We
Mm-hmm.
have accuracy, which has to do with getting the right answer. And we have flexibility, which has to do with being able to do things in different ways depending on the circumstances, context
Yeah.
dependent.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Context
now,
dependent. I love that. Yeah.
okay, oh my God, thanks. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I'm like, oh my God, you are so right that we have completely overcorrected. It's almost like because flexibility wasn't a thing when,
Mm-hmm.
like 20 years ago, we didn't care about it. We only cared about efficiency and accuracy. Now we're like, oh my
Absolutely.
God, flexibility, like we left you out. Now we're going to like focus on flex. It also feels like to me, flexibility is like the feel good one of the gang. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you'll feel good. Don't worry
Yeah.
about getting it right. Don't worry about being fast.
Yeah. It's like everybody wins kind of
Everybody
situation.
went. So it's giving
Everybody
participation ribbon.
wins.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Which is good. I mean, we need that. We need everybody to feel like they have a starting point, like they have a way to contribute, like they have a way to participate in mathematics. We
Yes.
do want that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'm having a real epiphany. I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
I do think, all the haters on the internet that are like, oh my God, they're treating kids like snowflakes. I don't know if I'm using that right, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
participation
Yeah.
ribbon, da 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 da. It's like,
Yeah.
they're not actually entirely wrong. Okay. So, like, let me just
Mhm.
say that, right? It's like, I get where they're coming with this. Like, for sure, if we really were like, don't worry, take 2 hours to add 2 plus 2 together. Don't worry if 2 plus 2 equals 5 or 6 or 7. But, like, as long as you're
Mhm.
doing something, you get an A plus. That would be a problem. I agree. That is a problem. But I think what's actually happening, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I feel like flexibility is not only useful, but it is the inroad for the math anxious student into doing what is needed to get to an efficient, accurate place. The flexibility is the thing we can be like, look, do it whatever way. We can reward you because everyone has their own way of doing things. Now you feel more confident. And because you're feeling more confident, you're not going to freak out when you get something wrong or you're too slow. You're going to keep at it because you have some, like, am I on to something? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a sports mom,
Okay.
I can see the analogy too with the participation trophies and the entry points in, right? Like if at 5 years old we're expecting kids to come to baseball, being able to hit the ball into the outfield and know where to throw it and know which way to go, because if you've ever seen like 5-year-olds play t-ball, they hit the ball and then they'll run to like third base, not first base. Like, they're learning
Oh,
all of these
cute.
things.
Right.
They don't have the accuracy and all that stuff down. And so we do that to build that and allow for all kids to have an entry point, right? We aren't expecting every kid to win, every kid to be perfect. We are laying a foundation of we're all here, we're learning, right? And then, unfortunately, sometimes for some kids, they end up getting coaches who are all about winning and all about getting it right and will yell and all of that kind of stuff. And then guess what happens? They don't love the sport anymore and they stop doing it. And that's exactly what we're doing in mathematics, is that we might be having these entry points, like again, we've gone to the wayside where we're just letting everybody come in and have this entry point piece. But we also need to balance that with, okay, like we do need to get to the efficiency and accuracy part, but even then, it's still flexibility. The flexibility still matters. It's not like flexibility goes away. And that's unfortunately sometimes we see in sports, is it becomes only about the winning, only about being perfect. And then kids are playing out of fear because they're scared their coach is going to yell at them or bench them because they did something wrong, right? Like there's different styles of coaching for sure. This is part of a keynote that I do. So it's something I love talking about, but the same is true for us as educators, that flexibility is the piece that gets everybody feeling like they can do this, that they have a part. And yet we have to balance it a little with, accuracy and efficiency do matter. But if we put too much focus on that, that becomes an issue. And then kids are performing out of fear and they're motivated only because of those external things that they're afraid of.
I want to bring this all home for us here, which is going to be a bit hard. And that kind of is a baseball metaphor that I'm sort of using,
Bringing
I
it
think.
home. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
right.
it.
Is that where it comes
I
from?
caught
Is it
it.
like,
I caught it.
oh my God, Christina. Wow. We are basically sports commentators. Okay. This is going to be hard to track because I have about 30 thoughts in my mind, but here are some of them. The first is, I think we have to recognize for anyone listening, I don't think anyone who thinks this listens to my podcast, but if you are listening and you're like, I hate this flexibility stuff, it's all about speed and accuracy, I'm so glad you're listening. Actually, thank you for taking a chance on the podcast. Thank you for being here. And here's what I want to say. If you're like, well, exactly, like we are losing those things at the expense of flexibility, here's my thought on that. I actually think we have to recognize that historically, math has been such an anxiety-inducing subject that so few students are willing to walk in the door. And because of that, it behooves us. I don't know what behooves means, but it feels like it fits in the sentence.
Yes.
It behooves us to actually put an emphasis on flexible thinking as a starting point because it allows the most flexibility in terms of who can walk in the door. Because, there are not many ways to think incorrectly. If you're doing something in any way, you are doing something. And that is what flexibility is all about, right? So like it kind of makes sense for us to be really emphasizing that so we can get all the people in the door. Once they're in the door, we are dedicated as educators to helping them solve the problem and get the correct answer and to do so efficiently. But like, let us emphasize flexibility for a bit because the lack of flexibility is what has led to so much math anxiety, hence so few people walking in the door. What do we think so far?
Absolutely.
Okay, so great. So that's nice. But now you're making me think too. We've now really centered on the concept of fluency, right? But I know that fluency isn't the only goal in math, right?
Well, so that could be debatable, right?
It feels pretty good. It feels like it covers a lot of bases. Oh my God.
Yes. We're just going to keep at it.
Okay.
I've had to really rethink my own understanding of the purpose of mathematics.
Okay.
My traditional view of mathematics was I use mathematics and solve problems. Like I'm just doing math. However, to me, and I got this from, we in the United States call it Singapore math. Bon Har says it's just math, but we do it in Singapore. And their focus is problem solving. We want kids to be problem solvers, and we do that with mathematics. And so fluency, like even in the United States, though, even with this flexibility piece, we still do have this push of get them fluent. When is mathematics, like being fluent in mathematics, like the end all be all? Or is it that we want kids to be capable thinkers and problem solvers? And we can do that through mathematics.
But hold on, fluency sounds, the tenets of fluency, efficiency, accuracy, and flexibility, is that not what it takes to solve a problem?
It is, but it's flipping how we're looking at it. Like the end all be all, because okay, so let me see if I can reframe this too. Like I always thought, like even on when I first started becoming more of a recovering traditionalist, I still thought my job is to teach the mathematical skills, to help them understand the mathematical skills, like the operations,
Yes.
so that they can solve problems. Right?
Got
so
it.
that they can solve problems. When I heard Dr. Bon Har talk, he said, our goal is to help kids be problem solvers. And the byproduct of that is they learn some math skills along the way. And so it's the revert, like just what is our focus? I was still focusing on help my kids learn the math skills, And if they become great problem solvers, that's a great byproduct. But instead,
I hear you.
Let's put the focus. And so even if we're like, okay, fluency will hit all of that stuff, it's still, we're putting the focus on fluency. And then if they become thinkers, that's a great byproduct of that.
So because it kind of seems like fluency, if we think about you remember you were like fluent in driving, fluent in cooking. It almost feels like fluency is dependent on the thing you're fluent in. You can't just be like fluent in life. Whereas you can be a
Right.
problem solver in every domain. Fluency is domain specific. And right now we're talking about fluency in the domain of mathematics. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh
Yeah.
my
That's
God.
right.
Okay. And I think we're going to wrap here, but it's okay
Mhm.
that we don't have a conclusion. I actually think it is for the
Mhm.
educator listening or whoever listening to be like, huh, what is my approach going to be? Right? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it going to be fluency first, problem solving second, or is it going to be like, and again, I actually don't know that there is a generic answer. I think it can depend
Mhm.
on your situation, on the student. Maybe a student's really
Mhm.
interested in some mathematical concept, and through that, they develop fluency, and through that, they learn how to solve problems. Maybe a student's
Mhm.
right. Like, do you think
Yeah.
there's a right answer to
And
this?
well, I would encourage, I guess, maybe it's the recovering traditionalist in me that we start opening our mind to maybe it is more about the problem solving side piece of it. And that when we have that as the center goal, it makes all the other things seem easier because it all connects back to that one thing. And like fluency with math facts still connects to that because we do if we're out solving like some problem comes to mind when we're out there, we do need to be quick with that so that we can figure something out in the moment, right? Like I don't know. It's a good
Oh,
conversation to keep going and a good one to really think and grapple with.
yeah.
Like,
Think
what
about it.
is the center focus of this?
A lot of people listening are teach math, and I'm like,
Hmm.
you have math as a gateway. Like I mean, I love math, but I don't particularly, I'm not like math is the most important thing. I'm like math is just the most beautiful gateway to so many things. And one of the gateways that it opens up is the ability to problem solve, right? Yes, you're learning content and you're learning skills and you're becoming fluent in this and that. But at the end of the day, the broader skills you're learning is how to solve a problem, right?
Hmm.
So I guess I'm kind of thinking like, because at your disposal, what you have is math content that you have to teach. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, you have,
Hmm.
that's kind of what you're supposed to be doing anyways. I don't know. I'm stuck at that end of that sentence, but I'm kind of like, so if you, if through teaching a child to be fluent in math facts, that was your way to teach them to be a problem solver, that almost seems like starting with the trees instead of the forest.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation of just trying to grapple with, all these things that come at us. There's, oh, well, oh, now we should be doing which one doesn't belong. And now we should be doing
Uh,
numberless word product. Like, there's so many different like things that we can be doing in the math classroom. And now, like, high quality instructional materials and all of those pieces that get thrown at educators. And so whether you have been teaching for 30 years or you've been teaching for 3 years, you've probably already noticed this pendulum
swing.
swinging and bandwagon. You're getting on the bandwagon of this new next thing. And then guess what? We're going to hop off that here in 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years from now. And so it's not about the things that come along. It's, we really do need to think about the bigger picture of what our goal is when
Yep.
we are helping students learn mathematics.
Okay.
And I think that's something we all need to grapple with a little.
Well,
Yeah.
this is perfect. Because I was going to say, can you leave us with something? It is summer. I want you to leave us with a
Hmm.
like, what's something we can do right now so that when we get into the classroom, when school starts again, we feel more centered. And I think that's the thing, is to think about what you feel your purpose is up there in front of the classroom. What is the point of what you're doing? What's the point?
Yes.
And then let your answer to that question guide how you teach.
Let your own answer to that and then what you're hearing from your students about where they are in their learning guide the instruction moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. This was so fun. I have two questions to ask you that I ask every podcast guest, and you have 30
Okay.
seconds to answer both of them.
Oh,
But I do
goodness.
have to tell
Speed.
you,
Speed.
this is
I got to be
right.
quick.
You got to be fluent. You got to be fluent. Okay.
Okay.
Someone's listening to this podcast. They're like, I love everything Christina said. Honestly, that's so interesting. And like, yeah, for sure. Maybe I have some math trauma. Like maybe that's not why I'm good at math. But honestly, the truth is I'm just not a math person. How do you respond?
Mm. You have a wrong version of math because your version is probably like mine. I had the opposite. I thought I was good at math until I had to go teach it. And I learned that I was good at arithmetic, not mathematics. And so you may see yourself as not good, but you've been not good at the arithmetic part of mathematics, of getting correct answers. And there's so much more to math beyond just correct answers. It is about being a problem solver. And everybody's good at that.
It's so hard right now because I know I don't have time for what I'm about to say, but I'm going to have to say it.
Okay.
I really don't like, this is not your fault, okay? And I love your response, but I don't like that in the response you put yourself down. And the reason I don't like that you put yourself down is I don't like this new trend in general. And I'm not saying you're like, sorry, but I don't like this trend of us in order to include more people in math, we now have to exclude people who were included. I don't like this because I feel like it's like arithmetic is a part of math and you were good at arithmetic. It's not like it wasn't real.
That's true.
Sorry, Christina. I shouldn't be yelling at you.
No, you're good. No, that's a good point because I say it a lot. And you're making me reflect on that part of it, that I was good at a certain part of mathematics.
You're great.
Yeah.
No one's good at every part of mathematics. Even like prolific mathematicians. It's not like there's like game theory experts that don't know shit about like calculus. It doesn't mean that they're like, I was never actually good. Sorry, this is like, I shouldn't be taking this out on you, especially within the time confines
I love it.
that I gave you. Okay.
We're all on this journey. That's why I call myself a recovering traditionalist. Like there are times that somebody needs to hold a mirror to me and be like, no, I don't, you're not saying that correctly, or rethink about how you think about that.
The final question, I swear to God, final question is, if you could pick one thing to change about the way math is taught in school, what would it be? One thing.
Balance. Finding some form of balance, and it goes with our theme of the pendulum. I wish I could tie baseball into this somehow, but I don't see that. That we swing one way, we swing the other, and we realize that's not working, and so we'll swing all the way to the other way, and we need some of both all the time. We do need some timed activities. We need kids to be able to play and discover and guide their instruction. We need, sometimes we need a lot of practice, when textbooks have moved one way and it's like a lot of contextual problems and discovery. And then those textbooks are lacking in practice, and we do need time to practice things. So if I could change anything, it would be to find a way to have some balance of both sides of these pendulums that we find in math education.
I love this. And honestly, to really take us home, David has texted me, I think your landing metaphor may be what you were looking for. Not sure if it really is it. He said, gotta play both offense and defense to win a ball game.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was such a treat. I've had so many epiphanies. It was so great talking to you. I can't believe how many metaphors we wove into one another. Like, I feel it was truly prolific. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for asking me. And it's fun to get to chat with you, and hope to get to meet you in person one of these days at a conference.
Well, me too. And I'm really excited for the World Series when the Blue Jays hopefully make it again, because this time when I jump on the bandwagon, I know that I have a baseball girlie to talk to
if
about
you ever
all
need
the
some
things.
Baseball terminology, I'm your girl.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. See you on the field. Is that what they say? No?
Play ball.
Okay, I'm dying to hear what you guys think, because honestly, I feel like my entire relationship with fluency has changed, especially when I start thinking about using that word in contexts other than math, right? Like, the word is not polarized when it comes to languages. Why has it been so polarized in math? And I'm really curious if Christina shared anything that changed your mind and might even change your practice this upcoming school year, or if she said anything that made you double down on what you already think and what you're already doing. Either way, we want to hear from you. Text the podcast. Hit the link in your show notes. It literally says text us, so text us. Also, if you want more of me and Christina, I'll be speaking at her free virtual thinking summit August 10th, 11th, and 12th. You should totally come. It's completely free, and there are such awesome speakers like Pam Harris, Zach Champagne, Deborah Peart, Juliana Topper, Mike Flynn. I could go up, Brittany Heggie. Like, there are so many people that you know and love that are going to be speaking at this thing, and it's totally free. So head to the show notes. The link is in there to register for free. So come. As always, thank you guys for listening. I would love for you to do all the things I always ask you to do, like share this episode with a friend, rate and review the podcast. That stuff makes such a big difference to a small little operation like ours that is growing thanks to you and the amazing work you're doing out there. But also, I know we're busy. I know you are booked and busy. I know the last days of summer are approaching and you have a million other things to do. So if you don't want to do any of that stuff, that's cool. Just have the best day ever, and I will catch you back here next week. David, I have a producer's note from about half an hour ago when we were trying to find that fairy tale. He's now said you've run out of pitchers in your bullpen and putting position players on the mound at this point. I don't know what that means. Okay, here are the two questions. You have 30 seconds for each. Okay.
Toss me a softball question here.
Oh my God.
Do you know that phrase? That it's going to be easy to hit out the park?
I do know that from when I watched the Blue Jays World Series. A soft toss. So here are two soft tosses that you have 30 seconds to answer. Okay.